Hello everyone, this is Pooja Ram Rohit, Department of Biology, ASC Independent PU College. In the last few sessions, we discussed about productivity and decomposition. Productivity are of two types, primary and secondary productivity. Primary productivity is concerned with producers, however, the secondary productivity is concerned with consumers. Followed by productivity, we learned the 5 different stages of decomposition. Now in today's session, we will discuss about energy flow and food chain. Now what do you mean by energy flow? Before we understand what is energy flow, we should know what is energy. Energy is the capacity to do work. And when this energy flows from one level to the other level, then we use the term as energy flow. Right? In our ecosystem, flow of energy takes place from one organism to the other organism. This energy flow is based on their eating habits. That is, when an organism feeds on another organism, through food we see transfer of energy. This is energy flow. The second concept that we will be dealing with in this session is food chain. Food chain will have a set of organisms, and these set of organisms are interdependent to each other. We have different types of food chain in our ecosystem. So all these in detail we will learn in this session. As we all know, energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can only be transformed from one form to another form. The transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level is called energy flow. So how do we define energy flow? Energy flow is defined as the transfer of energy from one trophic level to another trophic level. Okay? Now what is this new term called trophic level? Trophic levels are the various levels or stages in a food chain at which the transfer of food takes place. Now consider a simple food chain where you have a producer, a primary consumer and a secondary consumer. Producer is considered to be the first trophic level. Primary consumer is considered to be the second trophic level, and secondary consumer is considered to be the third trophic level. So there is transfer of food from first trophic level to the second and further into the third trophic level. So this occurs within food chain. So when we see transfer of energy through trophic levels, then we use the term energy flow in an ecosystem. Now, in this picture, we see the process of photosynthesis, where there is a direct interaction between abiotic components and biotic components. All the biological activities require consumption of energy, which ultimately comes from sun. Except for deep sea hydrothermal ecosystem, sun is the only source of energy for all ecosystem on earth. Here also we see transformation of energy from one form of energy into the another form. Solar energy from sun is transformed into chemical energy by the process of photosynthesis. Then it is stored in the plant tissues and then transformed into mechanical and heat form of energy during metabolic activities of living organisms. So this is the concept of energy in ecosystem. Components of energy flow in an ecosystem includes sun, producers, consumers and decomposers. As we all know, sun is the ultimate source of energy for all the living organisms in an ecosystem. Energy used for all plant life processes is derived from solar radiation, and all animals are further dependent on plants. About 34% of the sunlight reaching the Earth's atmosphere is reflected back by clouds and dust. Around 10% is held by ozone layer, water vapor and other atmospheric gases. The rest 56% reaches the earth's surface. And out of that, only 2 to 10% is used by plants, and the remaining is just absorbed as heat by water or ground. So students, out of incident solar radiation, less than 50% of it is photosynthetically active radiation. We use the term PAR, which stands for photosynthetically active radiation. One mark question, generally they'll ask as what is PAR or expand PAR. Plants capture only 2 to 10% of PAR, that is photosynthetically active radiation. Only 2%, 2 to 10% will be captured by plants. And this small amount of energy sustains the entire living world. Plants and photosynthetic chemosynthetic bacteria fix solar radiant energy to make food, which is further being consumed by consumers. So thus we see flow of energy within the components of an ecosystem. From sun to producers, producers to consumers, and then when producers and consumers die, it will be used by the decomposers. The flow of energy in an ecosystem is unidirectional. That is, it flows from producer level to the consumer level and never the other way around. That is, you don't find the flow of energy from consumer to the producer. Hence, energy can be used only once in the ecosystem, whereas minerals can be circulated and recirculated many a times in the ecosystem. A large amount of energy is lost at each trophic level. It is estimated that around 90% of the energy is lost when it is transferred from one trophic level to another trophic level. So we can say that the amount of energy keeps on decreasing as and when we move from one trophic level to the other trophic level. Only about 10% of the biomass is transferred from one trophic level to the next one in a food chain. And only about 10% of chemical energy is retained at each trophic level. This is called 10% law. This was first given by Raymond Lindman in the year 1942. Hence, it is also called 10% law of Lindman. Students, when the food chain is short, the final consumer will get a large amount of energy. But when the food chain is long, the final consumer gets very less amount of energy. Because as we saw in 10% law, as the energy is moving from trophic level to the next trophic level, only 10% of which will be transferred. Rest everything is being lost into the environment. To explain this further, I'll use this particular picture here. In this picture, you can see around 1000 joules of light energy is taken from the sunlight by the producers. And only 10 joules of energy is made available as food by the producers. So out of 1000, only 10. So there is only 10% that is being converted into food. These producers are fed by these herbivores. So only 10 joule is available, of which only 10% will be given to the primary consumer. So how much will it be? Only 1 joule. So what happens to the rest? Rest is just lost into the environment. Now 1 joule energy is now available as food for the herbivores, which are consumed by the carnivores. In this case, it is the lion. So the transfer of energy, you can see it is only 0.1 joule that energy that is available as food within the lion. So out of 1, only 0.1. So 0.9 is just lost to the environment. This is 10% law. In this food chain, only 3 levels you can see: producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer. So lion gets some maximum amount of energy. I mean to say when compared to the longer food chain. But when it comes to only this particular food chain, maximum energy is in the producer, very less in the primary consumer, still very less in the carnivore. right? But the food chain, if it is longer, you have tertiary, quaternary consumers, then the quaternary consumer will get very less amount of energy. So this is 10% law given by Raymond Lindman. Food chain. In an ecosystem, every organism depends on other organisms for food, and all organisms are arranged in a series in which food energy is transferred through a repeated series of eating and being eaten. This is called food chain. So, how do we define food chain? A sequence of events in an ecosystem where one organism eats another and then is eaten up by another organism. This is how we define food chain. You can see in the food chain, energy flow is in the form of food. So the energy is stored in the food. So when one organism feeds on the other organism, through the food, energy is transferred through the series of trophic levels. In a food chain, food material or food energy transfer from one trophic level to the next trophic level. In this picture, I have depicted one simple food chain. You can see grass is acting as a producer. So grass has carried out photosynthesis and has prepared food, which will be eaten up by the primary consumer. In this case, it is the grasshopper. So, grasshopper is feeding on the grass. So, the grass is the food for the grasshopper, right? So, through the food, we see energy flow from grass into the grasshopper. What is the amount of energy that is being transferred? Only 10% of which will be transferred, right? Grasshopper is further eaten up by this bluebird here, the secondary consumer. So now grasshopper is the food for the bluebird, right? So through food, energy is transferred from grasshopper to bluebird. The same thing holds good even for the snake, because snake feeds on these bluebirds and snake is further eaten up by the owl. So you can see a series of organisms which are placed in one sequence. Okay, and you're constantly seeing that one organism feeds on another and the other one will be eaten up by another organism, right? Now in this you can also see when these primary producers, primary, secondary, tertiary consumers, quaternary consumers are all eaten up or are all dead, it will be decomposed by the decomposers. And all the organic matter will be converted into inorganic nutrients, and inorganic nutrients will leach in the soil, and the soil contains all the required inorganic nutrients which will be utilized by the producers in order to prepare their food. So this is about food chain. So how do we define food chain? A sequence of events in an ecosystem where one organism eats another and then is eaten up by another organism. Trophic levels. As we discussed earlier, the various levels or stages in a food chain at which the transfer of food takes place is called trophic level. If you consider a simple food chain which has a producer, primary consumer and a secondary consumer, producer becomes the first trophic level. Primary consumer makes up the second trophic level and secondary consumer makes up the third trophic level. Right? So the energy flow is from one trophic level to the other trophic levels. So in an ecosystem, we have 4 trophic levels through which we see flow of energy, and in a food chain, food is transferred in the form of energy, right? So producers make up the first trophic level, primary consumers make up the second trophic level, secondary consumers are the third trophic level, and the top consumers or the tertiary consumers are the fourth trophic levels. We depict these 4 different trophic levels as T1, T2, T3 and T4. T1 first trophic level, T2 second trophic level, T3 third trophic level, T4 fourth trophic level. Now in this particular slide you can see two different pictures that represents the four main trophic levels in a food chain that we find. So in an ecosystem there are four trophic levels. They are producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumer. So this is T1, this is T2, this is T3 and these are the T4 levels, right? Taking up examples, first trophic levels are always the producers. So phytoplanktons, grass, trees are all the T1s, right? And second trophic level are the herbivores, that is the primary consumers, which include zooplankton, grasshopper and cow. Third trophic level, that is T3, are the secondary consumers. They are the birds, fishes and wolves. Tertiary consumer are T4, fourth trophic level, which are the top carnivores. So examples, man, lion. So T1, T2, T3 and T4. In nature, there are three types of food chains. They include grazing food chain, parasitic food chain and detritus food chain. We see some kind of changes with respect to the consumers in every food chain. We will learn this shortly in the future slides. Things you need to remember is there are four trophic levels in a food chain. It could be less than that. Sometimes in a complex ecosystem you could have more than that. So you will be labeling them as T3, T4, T5, T6 in this way. Okay. Always remember, shorter food chains will always provide greater energy. Generally, decomposers like bacteria and fungi, they are not included in the food chain. But when they are included, they act as the last trophic level. Okay. Next few slides we will learn the different types of food chain individually. Grazing food chains. Grazing food chains are also called predatory food chain. Most of the food chain in nature are of this type. In this food chain, producers are the first trophic levels, and then the organisms are arranged in successive orders, like the smaller organism and then the larger organisms. To explain grazing food chains, we have taken two examples. One in an aquatic ecosystem and the other one is from a grassland ecosystem. In this slide, you can see I have taken grazing food chain in an pond ecosystem. Okay, so we have phytoplanktons which act as producers. Phytoplanktons are fed by zooplanktons, so they are the primary consumers. Zooplanktons are eaten up by small fishes, so they make up the secondary consumers. When these small fishes are eaten up by bigger fishes, then these bigger fishes come under the tertiary consumers. So phytoplanktons are first trophic levels, zooplankton second trophic level, small fishes third trophic level, and the bigger fishes are the fourth trophic levels. So here comes T1, T2, T3, T4. This is with respect to this particular food chain. You can also see another smaller food chain within the pond ecosystem, that is phytoplanktons eaten up by zooplanktons. Zooplanktons are directly eaten up by bigger fishes. So phytoplanktons as usual are producers, so they are T1. Eaten up by zooplankton, so they are primary consumers, so they are T2. Zooplanktons here are eaten up by these big fishes. In the earlier case, the big fish was the tertiary consumer, and in this case, it is the secondary consumer. So it is now at which trophic level? It is at the third trophic level, that is T3. This is an example for a grazing food chain in an aquatic ecosystem. In the next slide, we shall discuss about, we'll take up another example of grazing food chain, but it is with respect to a grassland ecosystem. grazing food chain in a grassland or a forest ecosystem, if you can see. So here we have green plants, which includes herbs, shrubs and trees, which are eaten up by different herbivores. In this case, it is the goat that is eating or feeding on the tree. Goat is further eaten up by the lion. Lion becomes the top carnivore in this case. Okay, I'll not discuss with respect to decomposers. I'll just discuss about the producer, primary and the secondary consumer. You can see green plants are the producers. So they take up the first trophic level. So they are T1, which are eaten up by the herbivores such as goat in this case. So goat is the primary consumer. So trophic level 2, T2. Goat will be eaten up by lion, which becomes the secondary consumer. So it attains the trophic level 3, that is T3. This is a simple grazing food chain in terrestrial ecosystem. So the amount of energy transfer is generally greater. If you have some more organism and if the food chain becomes longer, then the energy transfer will be very, very less at the last trophic level. So this is an example for grazing food chain in an terrestrial ecosystem. In this slide, I have depicted 3 different food chains. It is labeled as 3-linked food chain, 4-linked food chain and 5-linked food chain. If you can observe in the first one, it is a smaller food chain where corn is eaten up by rats and rats are eaten up by owl. So in this case, corn is T1, rat T2 and owl is T3. Moving on to 4-linked food chain, carrots are eaten up by rabbits, rabbits are eaten up by fox, fox are eaten up by lion. So there is one extra consumer. So producer, primary, secondary and tertiary consumer. So the energy flow will keep on decreasing as the number of consumer increases. In the last food chain, which is a 5-linked food chain, the number of organisms are increasing. So as we reach the eagle will get very less energy, as we have learnt in 10% law. So these are some of the other examples for grazing food chain. The second type of food chain is the parasitic food chain. This food chain also starts from producers, but in successive order it goes from bigger organism to the smaller organism. Let's take up an example of a tree ecosystem. Tree, a producer, which is eaten up by birds, which are the primary consumers. Birds are then fed by the parasites, which are the secondary consumer. So we are starting from the producers and the consumers are placed in the successive order, but the organisms are from bigger to the smaller organisms. Tree to birds, bird to parasites. So trees attain the first trophic level, T1, and birds attain the second trophic level, so T2. Parasites attain the third trophic level, so T3. Now you need to know that both grazing and parasitic food chains are directly dependent on solar radiation as a primary source of energy and have a rapid energy flow. Detritus food chain. It's also called as saprophytic food chain. This food chain begins with the decomposition of dead organic matter by decomposers, so it is also known as saprophytic food chain. In this food chain, primary consumers are the bacteria and fungi. Take up an example of a mangrove vegetation. Okay, the food chain goes up to big organisms. Now you have a dead mangrove leaves which are eaten up by bacteria and fungi, which are in turn eaten up by the consumers such as mollusks, crabs, etc., which are eaten up by small fishes, and finally they are eaten up by fish-eating birds. In detritus food chain, energy flow is very slow, but the magnitude of energy is higher because vast number of decomposers are involved in this food chain. Detritus food chain is the only food chain that does not depend on light. Food web. Food web refers to the group of interconnecting food chains in a particular community. So if you have more than 2-3 food chains, and when they are all interdependent to each other or interconnected to each other, then it is collectively called as a food web. In a food web, transfer of food energy is unidirectional, but it is from many different pathways. Many alternative pathways are there through which transfer of food energy takes place. In a food web, members of a particular trophic level obtain their food according to their choice and taste. It means they have more than one option or alternative for getting food. Now look at this particular picture. In this picture, we see so many different food chains. So let's start with this particular food chain. We have a producer which is eaten up by the squirrel. Squirrel is further eaten up by the fox. So squirrel is primary consumer and fox is the secondary consumer in this case. Let's take another food chain. In this case, the producer is eaten up by the sparrow and sparrows are eaten up by the fox. So in these two food chains, if you see, fox has an option for either eating the sparrow or either it will eat the squirrel. It is based on the choice of the fox. Yes, it can either feed on squirrel or on sparrow. If you take another food chain here, the producers are eaten up by certain caterpillars. The caterpillars are eaten up by the sparrows and sparrows are further eaten up by the foxes. Right? Now, here in this particular food chain, the sparrow is the secondary consumer and the fox is the tertiary consumer. In the earlier two food chains, we saw that sparrow was coming under the primary consumer and fox was coming under the secondary consumer. But in this particular food chain, you can see fox is the top consumer. Right? Now, with respect to another example, if I have to take, these caterpillars are eaten up by these frogs. So now frog has an option of either eating snakes or eating the caterpillar. So frog also has an option just like the fox. Right? What about the snakes? Does snake have any option? No. But snakes are fed by hawks and they are also fed by the frogs. So these are varieties or different types of food chain which are interconnected to each other and that thus collectively called as a food web. When you consider a complex ecosystem, it will have many food chains. So it will have a complex food web. Such ecosystems are more permanent and more stable because such type of ecosystems are not destroyed naturally and it can continue for a very longer duration. This ecosystem is not affected by loss of any organism of any particular trophic level. Those ecosystems which generally have simple food web, they are not very stable and they can get finished at any time just because there is any change in any particular trophic level. If you consider this particular picture, you can see a complex ecosystem with a lot of interconnecting food chains, right? Now, if you take up an example of this blue stem grass, it is eaten up by antelopes and it is eaten up by prairie dog. Yes, you also have another producer, that is prairie cornflower, which is eaten up by antelopes, which are eaten up by sparrow. Now suppose these prairie cornflowers are not present, or it will get extincted, or the resources will get limited. What will happen? The antelopes and sparrow can eat these grasses. Yes, especially antelope. In this case, sparrow is eating only the prairie cornflower. So prairie cornflower is not there. That means the sparrow will get extincted because it will get devoid of food. But it has an option here. It can feed on grasshopper. So it will not get extincted. So there is stability in the ecosystem. You will not lose any other organism just because you have lost one particular organism. In the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation, you will learn this, wherein you will understand that the organisms are interdependent to each other, because just because one particular species got extincted, the organisms which are feeding on that particular organism also will get extincted, due to which ecosystem will not be stable. But in case if there is a complex food web, you can always say that you will always find a stable food web, because there are more options and there are more varieties for different organisms to feed on. All right. Okay. With this, I would also like to explain about homeostasis. It's the same thing. Only thing we need to know is ecosystem is a dynamic system, because we see continuous interaction taking place between abiotic and biotic components. So ecosystem is present in an equilibrium position. As we know that ecosystem is self-maintainable, self-controllable and self-regulatory system. It means an ecosystem maintains a balance in between different trophic levels. Each trophic level controls the other trophic level, and if any change takes place in any of the trophic level of the ecosystem, the other trophic levels of this ecosystem may react according to it. So ecosystem always remain in equilibrium. This feature of the system is known as homeostasis. So this was all about food chain and energy flow. In the future classes, we shall take up ecological pyramids, ecological succession, which are also the major concepts that we need to learn under ecosystem. Thank you.